Growing up in the 90s, there was one thing that took over my life, and the entire planet honestly, and that was Pokémon. It wasn't just a game or a show, it was the childhood obsession. I watched every episode like it was homework, dragged my parents to every movie in the cinema, and probably cried over Ash turning to stone more than I'd like to admit.
This is the worst!
Pokémon, short for Pocket Monsters, was born in Japan in 1996, created by Satoshi Tajiri, a guy who spent his childhood catching bugs and dreamt of sharing that joy through a video game. He imagined a world where kids could link their Game Boys and trade creatures with friends. Yeah, before the internet we had actual cables. The original games, Pokémon Red and Green, hit Japan first, but when they arrived in the West in 1998 as Pokémon Red and Blue, the world caught Poke Fever, and no amount of antidotes could stop this coming.
That's what she said!
Michael, please.
Suddenly, it wasn't just a game. It was a TV show, a trading card game, action figures, backpacks, bedsheets, snack foods. If you could slap Pikachu's face on it, it existed. The anime was iconic. Ash Ketchum and his loyal Pikachu, forever 10 years old, setting off to become a Pokemon master, while Team Rocket failed to do anything useful. Every single episode. By the late 90s, Pokemon had become a global phenomenon. Stores sold out of cards in minutes. Schools banned them. Kids everywhere were fighting not over politics or playground games, but who had the holographic Charizard.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
I managed to get my hands on an original copy of Pokémon Green a few years ago while I was in Japan. At the time, I had this grand plan. I'd play through it as a fun way to learn Japanese, but I never actually did. But today, that changes. Pokémon Green has a few interesting differences from the Western Red and Blue versions, like the original sprite work,
What is that?
and even a few event changes. In this video, I'll take you through an amateur but enthusiastic attempt to translate key moments, words and events from Pokémon Green, with a focus on grammar and vocabulary you might actually use in everyday Japanese. I'll also be comparing the original 151 Pokemon names, because yes, they are different, and pointing out some of the fun or weird things that get lost in translation.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
Since this is an original Game Boy game, everything is written in kana only, no kanji, making it surprisingly accessible for Japanese learners, especially if you're around the JLPT N4 or N3 level. So whether you're a nostalgic fan, a language nerd, or just want to see me struggle through 8-bit Japanese, welcome aboard. Right off the bat, we're greeted with this: Hajimemashite, Pocket Monster no Sekai e Yokoso, which means, nice to meet you, welcome to the world of Pokemon. Well, technically Pocket Monsters, because that's the original name in Japan. Pokemon was the cooler international rebrand. So we have two useful phrases right away. Hajimemashite, which is used when we meet someone new, and Yokoso, which is what you use to welcome people. The next line of text is Watashi no namae wa Okudo. Mina kara Pokemon wa kese to shitawarete oru yo. The translation to that:
My name is Oak, but everyone calls me the Pokémon Professor.
the important bits here are Watashi no namae wa, which is my name is,
My name is Jeff.
and shitawarete oru, which is a fancy way of saying I'm respected.
Bow to me!
So I named myself Ski, and I named my rival Red. Why these names? Because I'm basically out of ideas. Another word to point your attention to is the line Soda. This is what Red hits us with, and it just translates to that's right, or yeah. You'll hear this in a lot of casual conversations. The more polite version that you may have heard is so desu. So as Ski selfishly leaves his mum and attempts to escape, Professor Oak comes to stop him. Aside from generally warning Ski about the Pokemon, I want to point out the word he uses here, which is abunai, which means watch out. It's one of my favourite words. It always reminds me about the monkey Abu in Aladdin grabbing the lamp, and Aladdin saying, watch out! Or, how I like to remember it, abunai Abu. We go to Oak's lab where we're greeted by his annoying grandson, Red, properly.
You are a little shit.
It's time to pick a starter. And of course I picked Charmander. This is where I'll know every Pokemon I come across and the Japanese names. First of all we have Charmander, which in Japanese is Hitogage. Hi means fire, and Togage is lizard. So yeah, literally fire lizard. Next we have Squirtle, but in Japanese it's Zenigame. Zeni means coin, and Kame means turtle. So it's coin turtle. And finally we have Bulbasaur, which in Japanese is Fushigi Dane. Fushigi meaning mysterious, and Tane meaning seed. It's basically mystery seed, which is kind of adorable. So Red picks his starter and hits us with this line. Ore wa kore ni suru. Translation of that is, I'm going with this one. I wanted to break down these words because it generally captures Red's kind of approach to speaking. So first of all we have ore, which is a very casual, borderline cocky way of saying I. You hear it a lot in anime. So, I am Red. Ore wa red desu.
You are a rude, terrible person.
And kore, which is this one. Kore is a very important word to just point to anything. You can literally put kore and any word. Now we've got out of the way, it's time to show Red who's boss.
What?
Oh, he beat me.
What the hell?
I got my ass kicked. And then he just swaggers off.
So long, gay boys!
After a gauntlet of angry birds and worms, I limped into Viridian City. First stop, the Pokémon Center. Unlike Red, the nurse actually has manners. She speaks in very formal Japanese and hits us with a word we're familiar with, yokoso, or welcome. Following this, she says, Pokemon no boru o azugemasu, which literally means, I'll take care of your Pokeballs.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Azukemasu means to deposit or to entrust, and it's very useful when talking about banks, luggage, or digital monsters. The next word the nurse finishes with is soredewa, which literally translates to well then, or alrighty, which is a very common for polite transitions between topics.
Meanwhile,
As Ski continues up, we now run into a drunk old man. Yes, really. This is one of the regional differences between the Western releases of the games. In the Western release, the old man is just sleepy, but in Japan, he's really drunk. Ski needed to go into the Pokemon Mart. Inside the Pokemon, the shopkeeper greets us with the familiar yokoso. We're seeing this quite a few times now. Following this, he says, yukkuri mitte kudasai, which means, please look slowly or take your time browsing. So let's break these down. Yukkuri is a very key word in Japanese and means simply as slowly, and kudasai, which you hear this quite a lot in Japanese, meaning please. You can slap kudasai into tons of verbs to make polite requests. For example, biru kudasai.
1 beer. 2 beers.
Next we capture Pidgey. In Japanese, Pidgey's name is Poppo, which is the sound of a pigeon cooing in Japanese. Yes, it is onomatopoeia. This bird is literally named after the noise it makes. Then we capture Rattata, which in Japanese is Korata, which is likely ko meaning small and ratta meaning rat. So basically a small rat. Then we catch Spearow, which in Japanese is Oni Suzume. Oni meaning demon and Suzume is sparrow, so literally demon sparrow. We then capture Nidoran. In Japanese it's the same name, Nidoran. It doesn't really have any clear Japanese meaning, but it's shared by both male and female versions. Similarly to the male version, Nidoran is a made-up name. Red turns up to patronise me.
Oh, scary. Oh, shiver my timbers. Shut up, man.
This time, I proceed to absolutely destroy him in a Pokemon battle, making him quiver away. In Viridian Forest, I find Caterpie, which in Japanese is Kitapi, a katakana version of caterpillar. Then I catch a metapod, which in Japanese is Toranseru, which comes from transform and sell. So transformation cocoon. After running out of money and Pokeballs, I went to battle the gym leader's sidekick to get some money, just to go back to catch some more Pokemon. I catch Bidoru, which is from bee and needle, it's a stinger bug. And then I find the infamous Pikachu is the same in Japanese, and Pika is the sound of something sparkling, and Chu is a mouse squeak. So literally, sparkle squeak. Just after that, my Charmander evolves to a Charmeleon named Lizardo, which is literally the Japanese word for lizard, borrowed from English. Time for the first gym. Brock, or Takeshi in Japanese, is the rock gym leader.
Huh? What?
I smashed his Geodude and Onix with my overpowered Charmeleon. We did it! I uploaded my first Pokemon YouTube video.
Great success.
So far, we've got 11 Pokemon and filling up that Pokédex really quickly.
Wow, that was fast!
This is a series where I'll be taking you through our protagonist, Ski, who is on his way to become a Pokemon Master. However, there is a twist. I am playing Pokémon Green, which was never released in the West. I will be attempting to do translation for the first time, comparing Pokemon names, keywords, and cultural references that are a lot more subtle and maybe you're not aware of.
Wow.
Pokémon Green is set in the iconic Kanto region, but what you might not know is that this isn't just some made-up land full of tiny electric rats and flame lizards. Kanto is a real region in Japan, located in the eastern part of the country. It includes Tokyo, Yokohama, and several surrounding prefectures.
This is really cool.
So when you start your journey in Masara Town, that's Pallet Town in English, you're actually beginning in a stylized version of Saitama, or Tokyo's rural outskirts. Game Freak's developers actually modelled the original Pokemon map after the real Kanto, flipping and simplifying parts of it. For example, Nibi City, or Pewter City, with its rocky terrain reflects real-world Gunma and its mountainous regions. Hanada City, or Cerulean, draws from coastal towns like Yokosuka. Even the name Kanto literally means east of the barrier, referring to its position east of the old capital of Kyoto.
Alright, enough chit-chat.
After battling a whole host of trainers, Ski arrives at Mount Moon, which is a cave separating us between Pewter City and Cerulean City to fight the next gym leader. Jigglypuff in Japanese is pudding, pronounced pudding. Yep, it literally is pudding, as in a soft jiggly dessert. Before that, however, we buy a $500 Magikarp. Magikarp is known in Japanese as Koi Kingu, which literally means carp king. Koi is a carp, traditional fish in Japan, and Kingu is king, borrowed directly from English. Interesting fact, have you ever wondered why dollars are so expensive in Red and Blue? And even in the most recent games? Well, it's because in the original Pokémon Green, it uses the Japanese currency, yen. Of course a potion isn't $200, 200 yen, which is roughly $2. That is much cheaper.
You're cheap! You are so cheap! You never ever put money in any tip jar!
In Japanese, Mount Moon is called Otsukimiyama, which literally means moon viewing mountain. This isn't random, it's actually a link to a real Japanese festival called Tsukimi, where people gather in autumn to admire the full moon, decorate with pampas grass, and eat rice dumplings called dango. But here's the cool part. In Japanese folklore, people say there's a rabbit living on the moon, not a man. And in Pokémon Green, the Clefairy, who evolves using a moonstone, are kind of like that rabbit, rare, mysterious, and moon-loving. So Mount Moon isn't just a cave, it's a cultural nod.
Oh my god! Wow!
A few moments later.
Zubat is written in katakana as Zubato and sounds like Zuba, a sharp slicing or funny noise. It's an example of a Japanese onomatopoeia, the kind of word you use to mimic sound effects, something like cutting through air. We then find Geodude. Geodude's name in Japanese is Ishi Tsubute, which comes from Ishi meaning rock, and Tsubute, which is an old word meaning small stone thrown by hand. So that word literally means something like a throwing stone, a very Japanese style descriptive. We now run into Team Rocket for the first time, who call themselves the Rocket Mafia, which is interesting and different from the English translation.
Are you in the Mafia?
I'm gonna thrash the first grunt. This will be the first of many, of course. We then run into Paris. Paris in Japanese is called Parasu, the name literally coming from parasite, since, yep, the mushroom on its back are actually parasitic. Then we find Clefairy, or in Japanese, Peep Peep. The Japanese name is super cute and sounds like a baby noise or a tiny chirp. Peep Peep is an onomatopoeic name, kind of like peep 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 peep.
What?
In English, Clefairy is a mashup of clef, which is the musical symbol, and fairy. We now arrive in Hanada City, or Cerulean City in English. The name Hanada is the shade of a bluish flower. Many city names are colours of flowers in Japanese. When we arrive in Cerulean City, we are immediately jumped by a rival, again. Once we smashed him again,
Get riggedy wrecked, son!
it's time to head north to one of the most famous challenges in early Pokémon, Nugget Bridge. The first guy that stops us explains a bit about what Nugget Bridge is. He says we need to beat 5 people in order to receive a present. I just wanted to point out the Japanese word nin, or in this case, gonin. Gonin meaning 5 people. Nin is the counter for people, and the verb morau, or moraimasu, which is to receive. So, receive a present. Once we've beaten all 5 people, we turn up to the last person who congratulates us. Turns out he's a rocket grunt. He asks us in Japanese, do we want to join? I definitely would want to join.
Yes, definitely. Just do it.
After the game won't let us, I proceeded to just thrash him like I have every other trainer up to this point.
Oh, God damn it! God damn it! God damn it!
On the way, I decide to catch some more Pokemon, because we've got to catch them all. First of all, I catch Bellsprout. Bellsprout in Japanese is Mada Tsubomi. The name comes from 2 words, Mada, which means not yet, and Tsubomi, meaning flower bud. Put together, it literally means something like still a bud, hinting that it's underdeveloped. It's a clever name to reflect Bellsprout's growth into more dangerous forms like Weepinbell and Victreebel. Then we find Abra, which is a pain to catch because it tries to teleport every 5 seconds. Abra's Japanese name is Keishi, a katakana rendition inspired by Edgar Cayce, a real-life American psychic from the early 1900s. This is part of the naming trio Abra, Edgar Cayce. Then my Pidgey evolves with Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto's Japanese name is Pidgeotto, based on the English word pigeon. North of the bridge, we arrive at a home of Pokemon's most cursed lore moment so far, Bill's house, aka the Pokémon Kurabu House in the Japanese version. When you enter, you don't see a person, you see a Pokemon. Bill accidentally merged with a Pokemon.
What the hell is even that?
As I go to fight Misty, who gives us a lecture on raising Pokemon, she then beats me. Man, I need to stop losing.
And you know what's gonna be on your tombstone? Loser.
I decide to go level up and explore other parts of the city. I find another rocket grunt, in which I use my loser bitterness to knock him out the way, and catch some more Pokemon, of course. The final Pokemon in this episode is Meowth. Meowth's Japanese name is Nyaosu, and it's a mix of Nya the Japanese onomatopoeic for a cat's meow, and su, a common katakana ending to round out names and make them sound more cute or catchy. So nyasu literally captures a meowing cat. Fun fact, Meow's obsession with money, especially in the anime, ties into its move payday, Neko ni koban, which comes from the Japanese proverb, gold coins to a cat.
I'm really rich.
Much later.
Now I'm ready. I'll go back to fight Misty again. Finally beaten her.
Finally!
We've now done Misty, and I'm at the end of the video here. Next time we'll go to get the Thunder Badge, and Ski's adventure is only getting started. Pokemon is such a happy game, right? The first part of Pokemon Green felt like a classic adventure, catching cute Pokemon, exploring Kanto and collecting those early badges. But in this video, things take a darker turn.
I'm so scared!
Before we begin this video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you so much for all the support on the series so far. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Pokemon Green facts, localization changes, and even some key Japanese language tips along the way.
Get your fat ass back here.
Back in 1996, the game included all sorts of things that were toned down, rewritten, or removed entirely when it came to the West. With Pokemon being used in war, the strange and indulgent lives of sailors on the SS Anne, and of course, the most infamous part of the entire series, Lavender Town. In the next part of the Pokemon Green series, we'll be heading towards Vermilion City, and I'll be going into more details about Pokemon used in war, the SS Anne, and Lavender Town. We'll start to see just how different things were in Japan. Ski continues his adventure towards Vermilion City, or in Japanese is referred to as Kuchiba Shite. Kuchiba means autumn leaves or sunset in Japanese, which is associated with the colour vermilion. No Pokemon are caught on this route here, but there's an opportunity to level up a bit and battle some trainers. We first speak to the Pokemon Club member who, like in the red and blue version, speaks about his Pokemon, saying that they are cute. The word used here is kawaii, which is often used in Japanese, very common, and a word to remember.
Oh, look, cute!
We get the SS Anne ticket for an award. In both the Western and Japanese versions of Pokemon, the SS Anne is a luxury cruise liner. In the Japanese-only Pokemon Green, the sailors abroad openly talk about drinking or being hungover. One famous line in Red and Blue is the quote, "I like feisty kids like you." It was a very creepy thing to say to 10-year-olds. This was similarly said in Pokemon Green, which is very creepy.
What did you say?
These may be small, but they do add up, and make the Japanese SS Anne feel like a real ship of adults. After battling all the trainers, we go towards the ship's captain. First we have to beat Red again, who brags about the 40 types of Pokemon that he's captured.
I get bonus points if I act like I care.
The captain is suffering from seasickness, so we help him to get the HM cut, which is our first HM and will be needed to access the third gym.
Goodbye!
Our protagonist Ski reaches the third gym, where we start with this annoying trash puzzle. In Japanese, Lieutenant Surge's name is Mattis, from the clematis flower. You may notice that all gym leaders are named after plants. LT Surge is interesting, as he is not just a gym leader, but a foreign military veteran and fought in a war using electric Pokemon to win battles on the battlefield, where he earned the name Lieutenant. His Japanese dialogue suggests he used Pokemon as literal weapons for war, and survived battles where others didn't. This gives Surge a uniquely grim aura among gym leaders. He isn't training for sports, he's a soldier turned survivor, perhaps so haunted from what he's actually seen.
A few moments later.
We go to catch more Pokemon. The first Pokemon is the evolve of our Rattata, which is Raticate in English. Raticate's name in Japanese is Rattata, which is a shortened, cuter version derived from rat. Just like Rattata's name, Korata, Ko means small rat. So you have small rat and rat. The naming in Japanese tends to use onomatopoeic or simplified sounds rather than the more pun-heavy or descriptive English name. We next catch a Beedrill, which in Japanese is Spear. This comes from the English word spear, referencing its sharp stingers.
Oh, did you know I don't give a shit?
Unlike the English name Beedrill, which combines beat and drill, the Japanese name emphasises the Pokemon's piercing, aggressive nature rather than the insect itself. We then capture Duripu, which is the Japanese name for drowsy. As you may have noticed, this references the English word sleep, referencing drowsy's hypnosis abilities and dream-eating nature. The Japanese name is simple and ties closely on the basis of in the Baku, a dream-eating creature from Japanese folklore. Traditionally, the Baku is depicted with parts of various animals like an elephant's trunk, tiger paws or an ox tail. In Japanese folklore, this is said to banish the nightmare as the Baku will consume it. Usually benevolent, but sometimes stories say if it's still hungry, it might also consume your hopes and desires, leaving you empty. In Diglett Tunnel, we capture Diglett, or Digda, which is a stylized version of the English word dig, with a cute rhythmic sound that fits Pokemon naming conventions in Japanese. Like many early Pokemon, its name is a direct and simple reflection of its core behaviour, digging, and its evolved version, Dodrio, which is Dagu Torio, which is Dagu from dug, which is the past tense of dig, and Torio, the Japanese name for trio. So the Japanese name is the trio that digs. I then went back to Cerulean City to get to the shortcut cave and get to the most interesting place in all of Pokemon, Lavender Town. This is where the Japanese localization really takes a turn. Lavender Town, the only place in Kanto where things stop feeling like a friendly adventure and start feeling disturbing. In Japanese, Pokémon Green, the game doesn't shy away from death, mourning and ghosts. But the Western Red-Blue version, much of that emotional weight is cut or softened. For example, Pokemon Tower isn't just a spooky tower in the middle of the town, it is a graveyard. NPCs in Japanese say things like, "I'll never forget my dead Clefairy. I can't stop crying." But in English, it's, "I came to pray for my Clefairy. I can't stop crying." The blunt language around death gets watered down in translation, losing some of its emotional impact. Inside Lavender Tower, there are trainers called channelers, mind-controlled by ghost types. In Japanese, lines are knitted with ominous intensity, but in English, the dialogue's still unnerves, but it's toned down. And then you have the tragedy of Marowak, Team Rocket's killing of Cubone's mother. It is more directly felt in the Japanese version, with plain words like murdered being used.
I'm gonna kill you.
Then we have the iconic Lavender Town theme, and some of the stories you may have heard of. The music here is iconic and harsher in Japan with high-pitched tones. That quality sparked the infamous Lavender Town Syndrome creepypasta, a fake urban legend claiming kids were harmed, or worse, just by hearing it. While this is totally false, it proves how compelling the original atmosphere of Lavender Town was. In Japanese, the Lavender Town Tower is a place for closure, for real tears, real loss. But in the West, emotional phrasing was made much vaguer. Pokemon were resting, not dead, and ghosts haunted less forcibly. But trust me, the impact is still felt today. Lavender Town's eerie theme struck a chord, and critics say it marks Pokemon's first direct take on grief and death. The creepypasta myth only amplified that legacy. Remakes like Gold and Silver removed most graveyard elements, replaced with radio station, but the original's raw honesty still resonate. From peaceful cherry blossom-filled shrines to the bright modern lights of Tokyo, Japan is a country where old traditions and modern life sit side by side. You can actually feel that contrast in Pokémon Green too. When Pokémon Green and Red were first released in Japan in 1999, the developers based on the setting on Kanto, a real region near Tokyo. But what you might not know is just how much real-world inspiration went into this world. In this episode, as we continue exploring the localized world of Pokémon, we'll look at how the game contrasts old and new Japan. From Lavender Town's traditional links to Buddhism and Celadon's towering department stores, and the underground Yakuza-inspired presence of Team Rocket. Let's dive in. We continue with our main character, Ski, who's just arrived in Lavender Town. In the last video, we talked about the localization difference between the original Pokémon Red and Green, and the version you may be more familiar with, Pokémon Red and Blue. That uncovered a surprisingly darker tone in the games, showing how they were originally intended before being adapted for Western audiences.
I'd prefer that we continue.
Ski begins by heading to the left side of Lavender Town, where we enter the Pokémon Tower, a solemn place of rest for departed Pokémon. Lavender Town is a good example of the traditional side of Japan. The Pokémon Tower in Lavender Town is essentially a mausoleum where people mourn their dead Pokémon. In Japanese culture, it is common to honour ancestors and the dead in Buddhist temples with memorial tablets and rituals like Obon, a festival to welcome the spirits of the deceased. Some theories suggest that the rural, quiet, misty feel of Lavender Town reflects isolated towns in Japan, where traditions around death are still deeply practiced.
Meanwhile,
Inside Pokémon Tower, we run into our favourite rival again. But, what is he doing here of all places?
Why are you here?
There is a popular fan theory that his Raticate has passed away, and that's why he's visiting the tower. R.I.P. Rattata. While he speaks to us, he questions whether our Pokemon died and tries to fight us again. After beating our rival, again, for what feels like the 100th time by now, we explore more Pokemon Tower. But as we head deeper inside, we come across ghost Pokemon. Without a certain key item, we can't identify or battle them properly, so for now, this path is blocked. Looks like it's time to move on to the next town.
the next morning.
En route to the next town, where you capture a Vulpix, in Japanese Rokkon. The meaning of this is a combination of Roku, which is 6 in Japanese, referring to its 6 tails, and Kon, the sound a fox makes in Japanese. Ski now arrives in Celadon City, or as it's called in Japanese, Tamamushi. The name comes from the Tamamushi beetle, known for its shimmering, jewel-like colours. To contrast with Lavender Town's solemn tower and traditional Buddhist roots, Celadon City takes inspiration from a very different place, Shinjuku, in Tokyo. It is a bustling modern district known for its skyscrapers, shopping, and neon lights, a sharp contrast to Lavender Town's quiet, spiritual atmosphere. Did you know the giant department store in Celadon City was inspired by real-life Japanese department stores? In Japanese, department stores, or departo, are towering buildings where each floor sells something totally different. From luxury handbags on the first floor to restaurants and to vending machines on the rooftop. In Pokémon Green, the Celadon's department store, or Tamamushi Departo, mirrors this perfectly. For example, on the first floor we have Pokémon balls and potions, second battle items, third floor TMs and power-ups, fourth floor evolution stones, and finally on the fifth floor, vending machines and secret items. In the Japanese language we have counters for many things, and in this case for floors. The counter for floor is kai, so for example, ikkai, the first floor, nikai, third floor, sankai, third floor, and so on. If you go to Japan, you'll hear these counters quite often in Japanese lifts. Regarding the vending machines on the rooftop, this isn't random. Back in the day, Japanese department store rooftops really had vending machines, just like in the game. Ski grabs a soda from the vending machine. We're definitely going to need this later. Celadon City has some interesting characters, including this perverted old man spying on the girls, saying, "Ha ha ha, this gym is great, it's full of girls."
I'm not a pervert!
This is actually the same translation in the Western version of Pokémon Red and Blue. However, this is later changed in the later releases of Pokémon from Soul Silver onwards to, "Ha ha ha, this gym is great, it's full of strong trainers." I was trying to see whether the Japanese versions of Pokémon Soul Silver and Let's Go Pikachu changed this in the Japanese version. Does anyone know? Please write in the comments if you do. And what's with all these Team Rocket members walking around? Something shady's going on. But more on that soon. Ski goes into a local restaurant and gets the coin case from the gambler that spent way too much money.
ATM, I really don't want to be reminded of my demons right now, please, okay?
The Celadon Game Corner is secretly run by Team Rocket. Behind a poster in the arcade, players can access a 4-story underground hideout, a classic crime syndicate setup. Japanese arcades and pachinko parlours are often associated with the Yakuza, Japanese organised crime groups. Gambling is also illegal in Japan, and pachinko is a one-way around that, but more on that another time. You can see by the language used by Team Rocket mirrors that of criminals. For example, the Rocket Grunt uses ore and zo at the end of a verb. Ore is a very rude way of saying I, and zo is a very masculine and assertive way to end a sentence, almost threatening. This is how the Yakuza sound, and if you've ever played the Yakuza games, you'll hear this type of language all the time. We get to the Team Rocket boss, who is like a typical Yakuza/Mafia stereotype.
Welcome to the Mafia.
The leader is much more well spoken than the grunts, using respectable forms of the language such as watashi rather than ore for I. This shows his importance and has similar manners to that of a Yakuza or Mafia boss. After we defeat him, we get the Sylph Scope, which we can use to eventually explore Lavender Tower and see the ghost.
Go ahead, let that Holy Ghost language come up out of you. Go ahead.
Before we continue, we win loads of money at the game corner and get some special Pokemon. Firstly, we get Pinsir, which in Japanese is Kairosu, likely derived from Kai, or shell in Japanese, and a distorted version of cross. Pinsir is inspired by stag beetles, popular insects in Japan, often used in children's bugs fights. The stag beetle's strong pincers match Pinsir's sharp, brutal design. Then we have Dratini, which in Japanese is Mini Ryu. Mini meaning small, and Ryu meaning dragon, so basically little dragon. Finally we get Porygon. The translation of this in English is the same as Porygon, referring to its geometric digital appearance. Japan's name keep the tech-inspired origin. Fun fact, Porygon was famous for being the only Pokemon to appear in a banned episode called Electric Soldier Porygon, as it was linked to seizures. Skeet enters the gym, only to be bombarded with questions about why he is there, being a boy and all that, in a woman's gym. See the creepy old man outside. The word onna is used here to mean woman. For example, one of the trainers in this gym states onna bakkari de. Bakkari is a key Japanese grammar point to mean only, so only women in this gym.
The only thing that women 18 to 34 are going to do when they see you on camera is file a restraining order.
Unlike some other gym leaders whose names are changed or adapted to fit puns or cultural references, the gym leader Erika's name stays the same in both Japanese and the English versions. Erika is depicted as elegant and traditionally Japanese in style, wearing a kimono and referring to herself in a very polite and formal way. This is a contrast to the other characters we find in Celadon City, which has that more modern style of speaking. It almost feels like Tokyo itself, a blend of traditional culture and modern culture. For example, when you walk around Tokyo, you see tiny shrines nestled between towering modern skyscrapers. When you speak to Erika, unlike Team Rocket and other characters, she speaks in a very formal Japanese like a character style. There are words and expressions traditionally associated with soft, refined or ladylike speech in Japanese. They are often used by upper-class women in fiction, for example like Erika from Pokémon. Some of the words I want to relate to here is watakushi, which is a very formal feminine version of I, and more refined than the watashi that we're used to. The sentence ending particle wa, which is used by women to soften or add elegance. Desu no, which is a feminine, aristocratic sounding way to ask a question. And ara, which is a feminine exclamation, often showing surprise of mild distress, elegant and gentle sounding. I also want to point out this formal sentence, to moshimasu, which is a very formal way of saying your name and more polite than to imasu. After beating Erika, we've gotten a 4th badge and officially halfway through the story. In this episode, we're diving into some of the most fascinating inspirations behind Pokémon Green, from ninja-themed gyms and mysterious ghost Pokémon to real-life connections behind the Safari Zone and the brewing collapse of Team Rocket. We're getting close to the end of the series now, just with a couple of episodes to go. But if you're new here, or need a refresher, here's a quick recap of the journey so far. We began our adventure in Pallet Town, exploring not just the game itself, but also the many layers of translation and localization along the way. So far, we've caught over 50 Pokemon, digging into their original Japanese names and the meanings behind them. We've also highlighted some of the major differences between the 1996 Japanese release of Pokémon Green and the 1999 English versions of Red and Blue. At the end of the last episode, we picked up the Sylph Scope and returned to Lavender Town. Now we're continuing our adventure towards the 5th and 6th gym, and there is still plenty to uncover.
Okay, everybody ready?
Our next stop is Pokemon Tower, where we use the Sylph Scope to finally reveal the true forms of the ghost Pokemon that were haunting us before. Now that spirits are no longer obscured, we can move past them and face the real Pokemon inside. Since we've already explored the deeper themes of the Pokemon Tower in an earlier episode, we'll move through this section fairly quickly, but there are still a few notable Pokemons worth highlighting. First we have Gastly, or Gasu. Gastly's Japanese name is simply Gasu, meaning ghost, and it's written in katakana to emphasize the foreign sounding nature. Its design draws inspiration from Japanese folk spirits such as Hitodama, which is a floating fire orb. We then have Cubone. In Japanese, Cubone is called Karakara, a name that plays on multiple meanings. Kara for emptiness, Kara for shell, and Karakara for dryness. All of these meanings evoked a strong sense of grief and isolation, a perfect match for the Pokemon that wears its mother's skull and lives in a tower filled with spirits. Next we have Haunter. Haunter's name in Japanese is Gosto, simply the word ghost written phonetically in katakana, similar to Gastly. Unlike the English name Haunter, which suggests a specific action, the Japanese name presents it as a general spirit in line with yurei, or wandering ghosts from Japanese folklore. Its floating, grinning design captures that eerie energy perfectly.
No, don't like that.
After laying Marowak's ghost to rest and rescuing Mr. Fuji from Team Rocket, we received a Pokeflute as a reward. We'll use this later to awaken a very, very large sleeping Pokemon. Before that we catch a Dudo. The Japanese name is almost the same as the English one, but it's also called to mind the extinct dodo bird. In Japanese the word has a more playful, bouncy rhythm, matching Dudo's attack and energetic running animation. We then used the Pokeflute to awaken the sleeping Snorlax. In Japanese the Snorlax is called Kabigon. Snorlax's name comes from a real Game Freak staff member who was nicknamed Cabby due to his big appetite and habit of napping at work. The word Cabby also means mould in Japanese, a subtle joke for the Pokemon that sleeps in the same spot until someone wakes it up with a song. We also catch a Fearow, which in Japanese is Oni Duriru. Fearow's original name means demon drill, with Oni meaning demon and drill referring to its massive spear-like beak. The English localization dropped the supernatural tone and opted for something a little more neutral, but still intimidating. Cycling Road in Pokémon Green is likely inspired by the Tokyo Bay Aqua Line, a bridge tunnel highway that spans Tokyo Bay. The biker trainers you battle along the way resemble Bozoku, rebellious Japanese motorcycle gangs from the 1980s and 90s. We arrive in Sekichiku City, known in English as Fushia City, home of the 5th gym. But before we head in, we used a super rod to catch a Goldeen, which in Japanese is Gosekido. The name blends elements from goldfish and king, matching Goldeen's elegant design. The Safari Zone is a wildlife preserve where Pokemon roam free. Trainers pay 500 yen to enter, or 500 Pokédollars, receiving 30 Safari Balls and 500 steps to explore and catch Pokemon. Instead of battling, you can use bait and rocks, which add strategic and random element to encounters. Deep within is a secret house containing HM03, which is Surf. In the Safari Zone we catch a number of Pokemon, the first one being Rhyhorn, or Sahaihorn, from Rhinoceros Sai and Horn Hon. Simple and descriptive. Execute, in Japanese, is Tamatama, from Tama being egg and a playful duplication. This also echoes Tamatama by chance, matching its strange form. Venonat Cornpan, possibly from Cornshoe, which is an insect, and Pan, puffy, reflects its fuzzy, bug-like design. Then we have Poliwag, which is Nyoromo. The Nyoro means wriggling in Japanese, and has a soft suffix mo, suggesting a small, cute creature. We then have Nidorino and Nidorina, which both have the same name. After the Safari Zone, we get to the next gym. The 5th gym is led by Koga, a poison-type specialist with a ninja theme. His name references the Kyoga-ryu, one of Japanese most famous historical ninja clans. The gym is a maze of invisible walls, and beating him earns you the Soul Badge. In Japanese, his dialogue is full of ninja bravado and traditional phrasing, such as shinobi. After we beat Koga and get the badge, we head towards Saffron City, which in Japanese is Yamabuki. Yamabuki is named after the Yamabuki flower, a golden bloom that reflects the city's rich and prestigious status. Saffron is based on Tokyo and is the heart of business, tech and culture in the game. It's also the home of Silphco, a tech giant that's become Team Rocket's latest target. Silphco is a massive building full of locked doors, warp tiles and rocket grunts. It's one of the most challenging parts of the game. Along the way, we find Red once again.
Oh no, not this clown again.
And we're gifted with Lapras by an NPC. Lapras in Japanese is Lapurasu, inspired by Laplace, a French mathematician known for his work on waves and celestial mechanics. Once we pass Red, we face off against Giovanni, and his tone in Japanese shifts from a calm tone to a formal and frustrated one when we beat him. He even drops a kuso, which in Japanese is damn it or shit, showing his mask slipping from his previous, polite, mafia boss-like tone. He warns us not to interfere with the adult world and claims all Pokemon exist for Team Rocket. After we save Saffron City from Team Rocket, we then go towards the gyms. In this city there are two types of gyms. But why? Before Sabrina's gym took over, Saffron had a fighting dojo. However, the gym leader lost his title of official gym due to Sabrina's psychic type advantage. After defeating him, we get to choose Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan. In my case, I pick Hitmonchan. In Japanese, Hitmonchan is Ebiwara, a tribute to the boxer Hiroyuki Ebihara. The suffix mimics the way Japanese stylized fighter nicknames. In English, it was localized to Hitmonchan, combining hit, monster and chan, referencing Jackie Chan. We finally get to Sabrina, the psychic gym leader mentioned. In Japanese, Sabrina's name is Natsume. She speaks in a calm, detached tone that matches her psychic abilities. Her gym is a warp-tiled puzzle filled with psychic trainers. In Japanese, her badge was called the Gold Badge, reflecting the Yamabuki flower and light-based symbolism. But the English version, it was changed to Marsh Badge, which may have been a localization mix-up with Koga's badge.
Let's go! Stupid game.
Pokémon Green has been more than just a game for me. It has been a milestone. Ever since I picked up my first Japanese textbook, I've dreamed of the day I could wander through Kanto in the language it was first written. Not a translation, not an adaptation, but the raw, original words, jokes and ideas the creators put back in 1996. This wasn't just about beating the game, it was about uncovering the layers between cultures. We have seen how localization can soften themes, erase darker moments or completely reinvent Pokemon's name. We've spotted mistranslations, found cultural references that never made it overseas, and discovered that sometimes a single word can change the meaning entirely.
Wow, what does that mean?
There's been a long road, from Pallet Town, through ghost-filled towers to dangerous hideouts, to uncovering the history, language, and intent behind the world's most famous monster-catching adventure. And now, here we are, the final chapter. In this episode, we'll journey through a hard-fought victory over Sabrina and finally challenge the Elite Four. One last adventure, one last comparison. Let's begin. We are starting after Saffron City and getting the Gold Badge, or Marsh Badge in English. We need to use Serve we got from the Safari Zen to get down to Cinnabar Island for the 7th badge. To do this, we need to go where it all started, Pallet Town. It has been a long time since we got to Pallet Town, and where we learnt a few words from Professor Oak, including Abunai, meaning dangerous. Ski, our protagonist, uses Surf to get down towards Cinnabar Island. Along the way we catch a number of different Pokemon, the first one being Tentacle. Tentacle in Japanese is Me no Kuragi, Me meaning eye, no the possessive particle of in Japanese, and Kurage, which is fish. So, jellyfish of the eye, or eyed jellyfish. This refers to the Pokemon's large, glowing red eyes, which dominates its design. We arrive in Cinnabar Island, and the Japanese name is Gurenjima. Guren means crimson lotus, connecting to the island's colour scheme and deeper symbolism of passion and destruction. Cinnabar Island has an interesting history, with a lot of strange things going on. There's a strong science theme here, and even a mysterious mansion where Pokemon research took place.
Hello.
But something feels off. It wasn't always like this. And if you talk to the NPCs on Senator Island, some of their comments hint at the hidden past. The guys from Gurenjima have been living there since before the research centre was built, and they're weird. The man next to her says, it seems that scientists sometimes visit the Pokemon Mansion for research purposes. In Japanese you see the word kenkyūjō and kenkyu, which means research lab, research, jō being the suffix for the place.
Meanwhile,
inside the mansion we stumble across diary entries that slowly piece together one of the most famous Pokemon legends. The first one in Japanese reads, Diary, July the 5th. A new species of Pokemon discovered in the depths of the jungle in South America. The English text is almost the same. As we explore further, more diaries fill the story. For example, Diary, February the 6th. Mew gave birth. We have decided to call this newborn Mew 2. Again, in English it's close. But what really stands out is in the final entry. In Japanese it reads, Diary, September the 1st. Pokemon Mewtwo is too strong. I can't control it. The English is a lot different. In English it says Diary, September the 1st. Mewtwo is far too powerful. We have failed to curb its vicious tendencies. The meaning is similar, but the tone is very different. The Japanese is personal, emotional, one desperate scientist admitting failure. For example, in Japanese use the personal pronoun watashi, meaning I. Meanwhile, the English shifts the voice to we, turning it into a team project, almost foreshadowing how the first Pokemon movie framed Mewtwo's creation in a corporate experiment rather than a lone obsession. It's a subtle change, but completely alters the story's tone, from a single person haunted by their creation to a faceless group whose ambitions spiraled out of control.
Wow.
After piecing this together, we grab the key to the fire gym and finally leave the mansion. Before we move on, I will list some of the Pokemon we did catch whilst in the Pokemon Mansion. First we have Grimer. Betor Betor, which is onomatopoeic for something sticky or slimy. The name evokes a gross, slimy mess, much more than the English Grimer, but similar meanings.
No, don't like that.
Then we have Wheezing, which is Mata Dorgasu. Mata meaning again or another, and Dorgasu, which means poison gas, literally meaning another poison gas or more gas. Implies a more dangerous, evolved form of coughing, which is Dorgasu. Like I just said, Dorgasu means poison gas. Then we have Muck, which is Betor Beton. From Betor Betor means sticky or slimy like Grimer, but the ton suffix implies heaviness or density, like a big sludge blob. Literally means the big sticky one, or super slime.
No, don't like that.
The Censored gym leader in Japanese is named Katura, named after the Katsura tree, a real Japanese tree that is associated with autumn, fire colour leaves, and sometimes linked to old age or wisdom. The name sounds like Katsura, a word for wig, likely a pun referencing his bald head and flamboyant appearance. The gym has puzzles, with wrong answers leading to Pokemon battles. When we get to the gym leader, he speaks in a Japanese dialect. For example, he says, I am a fiery man. My Pokemon are all high quality ones that burn everything with fire. Woo! Are you ready to heal your burns? In English, he says something very similar. Although quite similar, there is small nuance in the writing. For example, in Japanese it uses the word washi rather than watashi we previously mentioned for I. Washi is used in older men historically, associated in dialects, for example in the Hiroshima prefecture. This evokes wise and actually makes sense given the link to the puzzles and general knowledge. A bit like your granddad when they seem to get all the general knowledge questions right when watching game shows. Most interestingly, there is a complete dialogue change when it comes to beating a gym leader. In English, Blaine would say, Fire Blast is the ultimate fire technique, don't waste it on water Pokemon. which is an odd thing to say. Can't teach the water Pokemon anyway. Maybe Gyarados? In the Japanese version, he says, everybody calls this technique Daimonji Yaki, but that's a mistake. In Kyoto, where it originates, it's called Daimonji or Okibito. This is interesting as he refers to Kyoto and possibly the dialect. I looked a bit into this. The word Daimonji refers to the giant big character turned into the mountainside in Kyoto during the Gozan no Okiburi festival. It's one of the most famous summer traditions in Japan, where huge bonfires in the shape of kanji are lit on the mountains and send off spirits of the dead after Obon. The Daimoji Yaki, yaki means burning or roasting. Some people colloquially but incorrectly call the event Daimoji Yaki, like the Daimoji burning. Locals in Kyoto dislike that phrasing because of the proper terms like Daimonji or Obonji. Okuribi literally means send off fire, tying directly to Obon, spirits return to the afterlife. So why is this important? Blaine specialises in fire-type Pokemon and his signature TM is the Japanese version is Daimoji, which we know as Fire Blast. In Japanese, Fire Blast is literally named after this Kyoto bonfire tradition. The move shape, the flame from the kanji big, directly references the festival's burning big character. Blaine, as a fire specialist, is giving you a mini cultural lecture. People outside Kyoto call the move by the wrong name, which is Daimoji Yaki, but in Kyoto, the true home of this tradition, it's properly called Daimoji or Okuribi. So why was this cut in English? Well, it's quite simple. This whole exchange makes no sense to a Western audience, unfamiliar with Kyoto's bonfire festival. So in English, Blaine just says something generic about Fire Blast instead. If we really want to push this theory, the second generation Pokemon is set in the Kansai region, or Kyoto. This is a subtle link to the existence of not just Kyoto, but Kanto in the earlier game. The English version of Pokemon definitely avoids saying anything in real life or real place, so perhaps this is another interesting differences between the localization.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
After uncovering the secrets of the Pokemon Mansion and defeating Blaine in the fiery Cinnabar gym, we are almost at an end, but there's still one more gym left, and that's at Viridian City. The very first city we passed through all those hours ago. Only this time, things are different. The gym has reopened, and waiting inside isn't just another leader. It is Giovanni, the boss of Team Rocket. After going through all the trainers at the gym, we reach Giovanni. His name in Japanese is Sakaki, named after the Sakaki tree, a sacred evergreen used in Shinto rituals symbolizing purity and divine authority. This creates an ironic contrast. Sakaki, the leader of a criminal organization, Team Rocket, yet bears a name linked to spirituality and reverence. In Japanese, Giovanni says, "Ha ha ha, this is my hideout. I'll regroup in this gym until the day Team Rocket is resurrected. However, there's no point in waiting if you find me. I'm not holding back this time, so, right now, once more, see the skills of the strongest Pokemon." Sakaki. In the English version of Red and Blue, it is exactly the same. Once Ski beats him, he says in Japanese, "Losing like this, it would have been a terrible example for my subordinates. Team Rocket will be disbanded as of today. I intend to start my Pokemon training all over again. Someday. See you again. Farewell." In English, it said, "Having lost, I cannot face my underlings. Team Rocket is finished forever. I will dedicate my life to the study of Pokemon. Let us meet again someday. Farewell." It is very similar in English, except in the Japanese version, he does not state that he will dedicate his life to the study of Pokemon, and merely starting his Pokemon training again. Interesting. Also, the word sayonara is used. In Japanese it means goodbye, but actually has the nuance, goodbye for a very long time. This is strong here. I've been stating that when we first met Giovanni, he was speaking polite, using words like watashi, and being respectful in Japanese. After various encounters with him, this changes into frustration, as seen by the words ore, which is a rude way of saying I, and zo, an assertive and aggressive ending particle. When we finally beat him, he returns back to saying watashi, rather than ore. This is not captured in the same way in English, and only can come across in the Japanese version. With Giovanni beaten, and the final badge in hand, we're technically ready for the Elite Four.
And I'm totally excited by it,
Before we get through Victory Road, however, we run into Red once more.
Go away! I never
Easy work. As we go towards Victory Road and show all of our badges, we catch a few more rare Pokemon. This cave has always been the ultimate test of strength and patience, forcing trainers to prove they're ready for the Pokémon League. In Pokémon Green, the design is identical to Red and Blue, but that doesn't make it any less brutal. Let's head inside and see what waits for us. First of all, we catch a Ditto, which in Japanese is Metamon. Meta comes from metamorphosis, and mon short for monster. So Metamon is transforming monster, perfectly reflecting Ditto's ability to copy the appearance and moves of any Pokemon using transform. We also catch Machoke, which in Japanese is Go-Riki. Go meaning strong or hard, and Riki meaning power or strength. So Go-Riki roughly means stronger power or muscle strength, reflecting Machoke's bulky, body-like appearance and superhuman physical abilities. We then get to Graveler, which in Japanese is Goron. Goron comes from the onomatopoeic sound Goro Goro, which in Japanese mimics the sound of something rolling or rumbling, like a boulder tumbling down a hill. It reflects Graveler's rocky appearance and its tendency to roll downhill or along tough terrain. We then catch a Venomoth, which in Japanese is Morufon. Morufon is likely derived from Mosu, which is moth, and fon, possibly meaning butterfly. So Morufon evokes an elegant or mysterious moth-like creature fitting Venomoth's appearance and psychic poisonous aura. We come across the legendary bird, Moltres, but in Japanese it is Faiya. Faiya comes directly from the English word fire, written in katakana. It emphasises Moltres' fire-type nature and fiery appearance, especially its wings of flame. The final Pokemon we catch in Victory Road is Marowak, or Gara Gara. Gara Gara is an onomatopoeic word in Japanese that mimics the clattering or rattling sound of bones, like rattle rattle. It reflects both Marowak's use of the bone club and its skeletal, bone-themed appearance. With Victory Road behind us, the path leads straight to the Indigo Plateau, the final challenge of the game. In Japanese, the Elite Four are called the Shiten-no, literally 4 heavenly kings, a term rooted in Buddhist tradition for powerful guardian deities. The English localization shifts this to Elite Four, keeping the idea of strength but dropping the cultural nuance. Either way, these are the strongest trainers in Kanto, and they're the last barrier between us and the title of champion.
You were the champion.
First we come across Lorelei, or in Japanese, Kanna. The Japanese and English texts are very similar, where Lorelei uses ice Pokemon. Easy. We then come across Bruno, or in Japanese, Sippa. In Japanese, Bruno uses ore more, which again means I in a more masculine way. Probably links to the way Bruno is associated with weight training and the masculine appearance.
Just doing my workout. Tuesday's arms and back.
Agatha in Japanese is Kikuko. Funny enough, in English, the translation is I am Agatha of the Elite Four. Oak's taken a lot of interest into you. That old duff was once tough and handsome, but that was decades ago. Now he just wants to fiddle with his Pokédex. He's wrong. Pokemon are for fighting. Ski, I'll show you how a real trainer fights. In Japanese, there is no word duff, and that was added into the English, with stronger sentiment towards Ski. Finally, we have Lance, which in Japanese, his name is Wataru. The English and Japanese is pretty much exactly the same, where he boasts about his dragon-type Pokemon.
I'm a very intelligent person.
We finally get past the final trainer of the Elite Four, before seeing our favourite childhood friend, once again, Red. The English and Japanese are very similar, but it's still the sweetest victory for beating Red one last time and watching him cry. You've now won the Pokemon League. Ski is now the champion. There is only one last thing to do. Celadon Cave is where we find the legendary Mewtwo. And we also catch some of the most powerful Pokemon in the whole game. We start off with Kadabra, which in Japanese is Yungeira. The name is thought to come from Uri Geller, a famous Israeli-British magician and self-proclaimed psychic who was essentially popular in Japan during the 1970s and 80s. He was known for spoon-bending tricks, which is why Kadabra is always depicted holding a spoon. You also catch Dodrio. Dodo-ryo is the Japanese word, and it's a blend of dodo, the dodo, the extinct bird, and trio, meaning three, which matches with its heads. The pre-evolution, dudo, is just dodo in Japanese. We then catch Golbat, which in Japanese is Golbato, likely from Goru, goal, and Bato, bat. Keeps the bat reference, but with the Goru adds a rough, strong image. We then catch Rhydon, which in Japanese is Saidon. The Sai comes from the rhinoceros, and Don, meaning boom, or impact. This suggests that both rhinoceros and the dinosaur-like power, the Japanese name makes the prehistoric impact vibe clearer than the English Rhydon. We also catch Wigglytuff, which in Japanese is Pukurin, from puku-puku, which is onomatopoeic for puffing up, swelling and ballooning in Japanese, and the rin, round sound suffix often used in naming, which is much more descriptive than Wigglytuff since it directly captures the balloon-like puffed up image in Japanese. Raichu in Japanese comes from Rai, thunder, and Chu, the sound of a mouse squeak. It's exactly the same in Japanese. Final Pokemon we catch in this whole series is the legendary Mewtwo, which in Japanese is exactly the same, Mewtwo, or Mewtwo. Very straightforward, literally Mew number 2. The Japanese emphasises the experimental numbering, which ties into the diary entries in the Pokemon Mansion. We have come to the end of the series. The end. It's been an amazing journey with loads of growth. I hope you all enjoyed this series and even picked up a few Japanese words along the way. I have learnt so much in my research into this game, even after 30 years since it came out. We will see you in the next video. Thanks for all of those that have followed, and please like and subscribe for more. We are just getting started.